My friends, welcome to my DJI Mini 3 Pro long-term review. This is my thoughts after many months and many hours with this fantastic little drone. We're going to try and figure out whether or not it's worth your money and if it's a good fit for you. So we're going to do this review a little bit differently. I'm going to show you a ton of footage as well as some behind the scenes and talk about the things that really matter to me about this drone, where it hit the mark and where it falls short a little bit. So let's dive right into the first aspect of this drone. It's very small, but what about the build and the durability of this drone? Well, after crashing it several times now, I can confidently say that the build and the durability is actually pretty good. You don't have all the inertia of those heavier drones, so when you do end up smashing into something, it's not that bad in my experience. Either that or I've been pretty lucky. I've hit some things quite fast as this drone is very quick, and I've also put it down pretty embarrassingly at some low speeds. So here's a few examples of that, as you can see, but the overall durability is a huge plus for me, and definitely if you're getting into the drone world, if this is your first drone, I'm confident when I can say that this thing is quite durable. Next on my list of awesome things about this drone is the new available RC controller, and if you have the ability to purchase this, I strongly recommend that you do so. I found that it's more stable and the range is better, and of course you don't need a smartphone or tablet or need to be fumbling with wires. You have that available to you when you need it. This thing is up and running in no time. I absolutely love this addition, and in my experience you can get up and going a lot faster. Here's an example of that in real time. Just hit the button on the controller and the drone, and in just a few short seconds you are ready to go. As we wait to see how long that takes to connect, I also wanted to mention that this drone is incredibly quiet in my experience, and a lot quieter than most of DJI's other drones, which is really great when you don't want to really be drawing attention to yourself. And here's exactly what that sounds like. And there you have it. In about 22 seconds, your controller and drone are ready to go. And more on the controller itself, it's a really intuitive and natural feeling controller. It fits in your hands well. It's a little bit bulky, but of course it has the built-in screen, so there's really not any way to get around that. It has all the buttons you're looking for, as well as a few customizable ones, so you can set it up just how you like it. You can also throw in a micro SD card and screen record, which is really great, especially if you're doing things like YouTube or tutorials. And the overall battery life for the controller is very good. One must-have accessory that I would completely recommend to you for the RC controller is an inexpensive lanyard. This is a lifesaver in a lot of situations, and especially when you're on the move. Next, let's touch on the battery life of the drone itself, and I'm happy to report that there are two options depending on where you're from. You have the standard battery claiming about 34 minutes of flight time, with a real-world result of about 22 to 26 minutes in my experience, and there's also the option to get an extended battery, which will put you over the 250-gram weight limit, but will give you phenomenal real-world flight time, in my experience, from 35 to 38 minutes. For the best experience, definitely pick up a second battery at minimum, but I would completely recommend the Fly More combo. I must mention that one of the downsides for me about this drone is its horrible charging time. So whether you're charging via USB right into the drone or you've got a charger, the charging time is absolutely horrible. And now let's get into the nitty-gritty of this guy. Let's talk about the performance of this drone, and it absolutely shines in pretty much every regard. It's a very fast and great handling drone. It's got a bigger and better sensor than its predecessor and shoots up to 4K 60. We won't concentrate on specs in this video, but here are some more of my favorite shots with this drone to date, showing you exactly what it's capable of. The ability for this drone to shoot in 10-bit really surprised me and is a very much welcomed feature. This lets you pull a lot of information out of the raw file and give you a lot of flexibility in post. Image quality as a whole is very good for me and a big step up over the Mini 2. If you're serious about getting the very most out of this drone, I would definitely recommend you pick up a set of neutral density filters. They're quite inexpensive, and because of the fixed fast aperture lens on this drone, I definitely recommend you pick them up. The mentioned bigger sensor also performs a lot better in low light. Although I definitely wouldn't specialize in low light footage with this drone, it can absolutely perform when needed, and here's a few examples of that. Another aspect where the Mini 2 simply wouldn't cut it. Another of the Mini 3's unique features is its ability to tilt upwards 60 degrees. This is something that the Air 2S or the Mavic 3 can't even do, and this opens up a whole different aspect of creative shots. Here's a few shots that obviously wouldn't have been possible without this feature. And speaking of features, that's just one of a ton packed into this drone, making it one of the most fun and the most versatile drones on the market today. It doesn't matter if you're a new drone pilot or an experienced one, the easy to use interface lets you get into whatever you want to shoot, from hyperlapses to quick shots and even master shots, which is just a ton of different shots combined into one clip for you, so you can easily and quickly get some great looking footage. And next, let's touch on one of the coolest features of this drone, hands down, and that's active tracking. Most of these shots that you saw of my truck were shot using active tracking, and because this drone's so quick, it can keep up with pretty much anything for the most part. I have a separate video where I did put it through its paces, and I can say that it does perform incredibly well. Be aware that it is limited because it doesn't have sideways sensors, although I found it very good at doing its job and have never crashed it using active track. And for the record, you'll get a smoother and overall better result on a faster moving subject rather than a slow one. And now let's have a look at how this drone performs in terms of photography. Offering several modes, the Mini 3 Pro does not disappoint in terms of photography. As you saw earlier, you can tilt up as well as down to get some really creative shots. And you'll also have the option to shoot things like panoramas, wide angle, and even 48 megapixel stills. You can also bracket your photos. In terms of photography, really the sky is the limit, and this thing does not disappoint. And finally, I wanted to touch on the range and stability of this drone. Earlier on, there were some issues, as you can see here, just some really unacceptable range, and DJI did a decent job at addressing some of these issues through some firmware updates, and I can since confirm that it is much improved, although for best results, you still want to have line of sight with basically nothing in front of you and the drone a decent distance off the ground. The advertised 13-kilometer range is only happening in your dreams, so try and keep your expectations in line. Stability has also been improved, most notably in hyperlapses for me. And having gone over all of that stuff, hopefully you have a better picture in your mind as to whether this drone is going to be for you or not. Thanks so much for watching the video, guys. If you did enjoy it, consider hitting that like and subscribe button and join the community. If you wanted to pick this drone up, check out the affiliate links in the description. And like always, make mistakes, be yourself, and get out there and take some more pictures. See you next time.